It's that time of the year again, a chance for you to cast your vote and decide who will lead the student community here at Texas Tech. Coming up, we'll have the list of all the candidates running for the executive office for the Student Government Association.
Some Red Raiders with a specific set of skills had a chance to not only build their resume, but potentially help people in need. Find out how several local nonprofit organizations benefited from an annual competition.
And both Tech basketball teams, along with baseball and softball, were all in action this weekend as the spring season continues. MCTV's Joshua Ermis has the details on how each team fared this weekend in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Monday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Peter Richardson.
And I'm Macy Ranzer. The start of spring break is just under 5 days away, and many students are already packing and getting ready to leave campus.
But before you check out for the holiday, one campus group is hoping you'll take the time to let your voice be heard and help decide who will be the next leaders of the student body. Last night, the Texas Tech Student Government Association hosted the annual Executive Candidate Forum in the Sub-Allen Theater. The debate kicked off at 6:30 p.m. and offered each of this year's candidates the chance to talk about their platform and answer questions regarding issues important to the students. Last night's forum included candidates for the graduate, internal, and external vice president, and the students running for the office of president. The candidates for the graduate and internal vice presidents are running unopposed, but the external vice president and president races both feature two students running for office. Master's student Kara Ashworth is the single candidate up for the graduate vice president spot. Ashworth has served on the SGA for 2 years as the Public Relations Committee chairman, and she also ran for external vice president last year. Diego Alessio is the candidate for the internal vice president. He is a sophomore who is currently serving as a senator for the College of Arts and Sciences. The race for external vice president includes two students, Carter Arrett and Dylan Marino. Arrett is a senator for the College of Human Sciences and currently the chairman of the Finance and Budgeting Committee. Marino is an Arts and Sciences senator and also serves as the chairman for the Senate Infrastructure Committee. Finally, there are also two candidates running for student body president. This year's race includes Toby Zustek and Abigail Vega. Zustek is also a senator from the College of Arts and Sciences, and he is the chair of SGA's Arts and Sciences Committee. Vega is also currently the vice chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, and she represents the Rawls College of Business. Voting for this year's Student Government Association elections opens tomorrow at midnight and continue until 11:59 p.m. Any student currently enrolled on the Texas Tech campus can vote in the elections. The results will then be announced this Friday at 6 p.m. in the sub-courtyard. To cast your vote, visit ttu.edu/vote.
The Lubbock community features many nonprofit organizations who are doing all they can to help out people locally across the South Plains. And over the weekend, some Texas Tech students used their skills to assist these organizations during a unique annual competition. The 2024 edition of the Create-a-thon kicked off on Friday at noon in the Sub Ballroom. The yearly competition is hosted by the Public Relations and Strategic Communication Management Department. Participants in the event are broken up into groups and then have 24 hours to come up with a media campaign for their assigned nonprofit. The competition gives students the chance to use skills and concepts learned in the classroom to help a real-world client.
This year we are working with 6 nonprofits, and basically a huge problem that nonprofits have is they don't have enough money to come up with a communications campaign. So we give this communication campaign needs to them for free, and they're very appreciative. And this can range from anywhere from website building to content creation to graphic design, just really anything that they need.
This year's Create-a-thon featured a local nonprofits such as Literacy Lubbock, Ronald McDonald House Charities of the Southwest, and the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The competition moved to the Media and Communication Building on Friday afternoon and finished up on Saturday morning with presentations to the nonprofits participating in the event.
Throughout the spring semester, Tech's Chinese Language and Cultural Association has offered a series of events to give students the chance to learn more about a country on the other side of the world. And last week's attendees at the weekly Tea House event were encouraged to use their singing skills to experience a popular Chinese pastime. Karaoke night was the theme of last week's Chinese Tea House in the CMLL building. Students were treated to traditional Chinese snacks and, of course, tea. The night kicked off with a Kahoot quiz that tested students on their Chinese karaoke knowledge, with winners receiving some Chinese candy treats for each correct answer. Then the karaoke began, with the attendees belting out a mix of popular Chinese songs from slow ballads to upbeat jams, all in Chinese. Each event organized by the Chinese Language and Cultural Association is a fun way to promote and share the culture with a diverse audience of Tech students.
Today we had just had a karaoke night. It's one of the Chinese culture event in the Chinese Tea House. Chinese Tea House is a series of Chinese culture event organized by Chinese language program at Tech. So the goal of this program is to help our students to better understand the Chinese culture. So most of the participants are the students who are learning Chinese in our program. So we hope this kind of culture events can help them had a deep understanding in the Chinese culture in different aspects.
Last week's karaoke night is the only singing event scheduled for this semester, but there's still a full schedule of events remaining between now and April. For news on upcoming events, you can follow the TTU Chinese Language and Culture on Facebook and Instagram, or watch for weekly updates via Tech Announce emails.
It was another spring-like weekend here on the South Plains, with temperatures climbing near 80 degrees on both Saturday and Sunday.
Those temperatures were still a bit higher than normal for this time of year, especially considering that the first day of spring is still more than 2 weeks away. So what can we expect for the last week before spring break? Weather specialist Elisabeth Herring joins us in the studio with a look at the MCTV forecast. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Peter. We saw quite a wild week last week, starting off the week with record high breaking temperatures, and then later in the week seeing snow in the early morning hours. We're going to start this week off more normal for this time of year, but still a bit warm. Yesterday we saw highs in the lower 80s with a high of 81 degrees. That's about 15 degrees warmer than our normal temperatures in the mid 60s. Not quite our record high of 88 back in 2009, but definitely a warm day. And it looks like today is going to remain warm, not as warm as we saw yesterday. Highs mostly in the 70s, a few places reaching 80s in the South Plains. Aspermont, one of those places right at 80, Snyder 79, Turkey 76, Matador 78. Up in Demet, a little bit cooler with a high of 68. As we move out to Morton, a little bit warmer with a high of 73. And today's conditions should remain partly cloudy. And we should not see any more winds at the beginning of this week like we saw last week. Last week we saw winds in the 50s and 40s. The winds should mostly remain at bay for the beginning of this week. However, we could see some higher wind speeds on Thursday, unfortunately raising fire risk here locally in Lubbock and for the Plains area. As we look into tonight, lows mostly in the 30s and 40s across the South Plains. Demet, the only one reaching 32, Snyder 43, up in Turkey 38, Morton also sitting at 38. Tomorrow, temperatures definitely a little bit cooler tomorrow than what we saw today, but it should be a beautiful day tomorrow nonetheless. Snyder 74, Turkey 69, Demet also sitting at 69, Plainview a little bit cooler at 68, Morton 72, and tomorrow's conditions should also remain partly cloudy. Tonight here locally in Lubbock, low of 38. I wouldn't put away your winter jackets just yet as we do have some cool nights ahead of us. Tomorrow, another beautiful day here in Texas with a high of 72. And again, those winds should remain at bay for the beginning of the week. As we move into Wednesday, conditions remaining mostly the same. We might see a little bit more cloud coverage on Wednesday, but highs still sitting at 72. Thursday, we warm up just a little bit during the day with a high of 74. Again, those winds could get into the 30s, causing higher fire risk for the Lubbock area, as well as the Panhandle fires, unfortunately worsening those conditions. Those winds also bringing along a cool front. Friday, highs go into the 50s with a high of 57, lows back in the 30s. Saturday, high of 58. Sunday, warming up once again with beautiful sunny skies. And Monday marks the beginning of spring break here at Texas Tech. It looks like it's a great start weather-wise for the beginning of spring break with a high of 72 and mostly sunny conditions. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to y'all.
Thanks, Elizabeth. As we mentioned earlier, Tech's Chinese Language and Culture Association has been very active this spring. Along with last week's Chinese Tea House, the group also met last week for another chance to immerse themselves in Chinese art and culture. Last Tuesday, a Chinese film showing took place in CMLL Room 116. Students gathered to watch a movie to not only learn more about the culture, but also to see the differences and similarities between film production in Hollywood and in Asia. Last week's film showing was one of 6 scheduled meetings for the Chinese Club this semester. Member Emily Gold says the meetings are a great way to connect with students interested in China.
I think being in the Chinese Club is important because usually in my more advanced classes, because I am an upperclassman, there's about the same group of Chinese majors because there aren't too many of them. And in Chinese Club, it's a very diverse range. There's some minor students and, just Chinese American students at Tech and people who are just interested in Chinese culture. So you get to meet a really diverse, broad range of students.
The Chinese Language and Culture Association will be taking a break for the next couple of weeks before getting together again on March 26th for a game night. The group is also scheduled to meet twice in April for another film showing and then an off-campus social before the semester ends.
Texas Tech men's and women's basketball had another mix of results this weekend, but things were a lot more positive across campus. On the diamond.
MCTV's Joshua Ermis has all the scores and highlights from Texas Tech athletics and sports. Joshua?
Thank you, Peter and Macy. Texas Tech sports had another busy weekend, standard for the spring sports season. Let's start this packed weekend with men's basketball. Texas Tech men's basketball traveled to Morgantown, West Virginia on Saturday to face the Mountaineers in yet another installment of the War for John Denver. Tech was looking to bounce back from their humiliating home loss to the Texas Longhorns last Tuesday. Missing Warren Washington and Kerryon Lindsey, Tech got off to a slow start, going down 20-4 early. Tech was able to battle back to a 45-39 halftime deficit. Tech would outscore West Virginia 42-25 in the second half, pulling out an 81-70 victory and their 20th win of the season. Senior transfer Joe Toussaint had 21 points and 7 assists in his return to Morgantown. With the win, Texas Tech improves to 20-9 overall and 9-7 in conference play. They travel to Stillwater on Tuesday as they square off against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Texas Tech women's basketball celebrated Senior Day on Saturday as they closed out the regular season against Kansas State. Seniors Jasmine Lewis and Riley McKinney got to start in their last regular season games in the USA. Squaring off against top 20 ranked Kansas State, the Lady Raiders faced an early deficit that they would not recover from, going down 36-17 in the first half. Texas Tech attempted to battle back in the second half, but couldn't keep up with Aoka Lee and the Wildcats, falling to K-State 73-49. Bailey Maupin and Jasmine Shavers led the team with 17 points and 14 points, respectively. Texas Tech's record after the regular season stands at 16-15 overall and 5-13 in Big 12 play. The Lady Raiders will begin competition in the Phillips 66 Big 12 Championship Tournament in Kansas City against the Houston Cougars on Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Texas Tech had another successful weekend on the diamond with both baseball and softball. Tech baseball played 3 games over the weekend against the visiting Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldogs, sweeping the series. Tech took Game 1 with a score of 10-7 on the backs of a 4-for-5 night from Damian Bravo, who brought in 4 RBIs, and Ryan Free, who got 4 outs to save the win for righty Kyle Robinson. In Game 2, Tech dominated Gardner-Webb, winning 29-3. In the win, first baseman Gavin Cash broke his cold streak, going 5-for-8 with a school record 4 doubles. Gage Harrelson also went 4-for-4 in the win, scoring 5 runs. Tech finally closed out the series on Sunday with a 9-5 win, highlighted by a 5-run 6th inning. 8-2 Tech baseball remains ranked after the weekend sweep. They still have one more game tomorrow before they begin Big 12 play. They travel to Albuquerque on Tuesday, facing off against New Mexico at 3 p.m. Texas Tech softball hosted the Janine McCaney Memorial Classic during their last weekend before conference play. The Red Raiders went 4-1 in the Classic. They started off on Friday, beating Merrimack College 8-0. They would follow it up against UTEP later in the day, where they suffered their only loss of the Classic, 3-2. Tech responded to the loss by dominating the rest of the way, winning their 2 games Saturday by a combined score of 28-2. Maddie Keel carried Tech to a 9-1 run rule victory in their final outing on Sunday, striking out 9 batters. 17-4 Tech softball will begin Big 12 play as they travel to Provo, Utah to face off against conference newcomers BYU. The first game of that series will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. Before I send it back to Macy and Peter, I'd like to highlight 4 Texas Tech Red Raiders who participated in the NFL Combine. Edge rusher Miles Cole, defensive backs Tyler Owens and Dadrian Taylor Demerson, and punter Austin McNamara got to show their skills in the Combine over the weekend. We wish them the best of luck in the upcoming NFL Draft, as well as all the other Red Raiders looking to make it to the NFL this spring. That's all for Texas Tech Sports. Now back to Macy and Peter.
Thanks, Joshua. So, Peter, can you believe that spring break is less than a week away?
Ooh-wee, man. Really can't believe it. It came up quick. Do you have any plans?
I'm just taking my little brother to the Baylor Tech game, so we're excited for that.
Okay, getting a little bit of family time in there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's what's up.
Well, that's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out the ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you on Thursday.